What's going on, Master Duel fans? James Polk here. I know. It's been quite a week. The fact that summer season has been started. So, first things first. On the lateness, I would like to say thanks to everyone who've been supporting the channel as of late. And when it comes to after a long deliberation for like a full week or like a week and a half since 7 seasons started, I don't even know. It's been so long. So the deck of choice that I'm willing to try out, as I would say, no gamble, no future, representing the other pack of artistic angels, that would be Solfachords. This season, no gamble, no future. It's all about Solfachords now. So, the way how this deck works, Solfachord is a fairy pendulum-based deck whose mission is all about the gimmick. The lower the level, the higher the scale, while the higher the level, the lower the scale. So, first things first about Solfachord stuff. As you notice, there are a few in hand. So, the way how the pendulum effects work between scales 1 through 4 and 5 through 8, the 5 through 8 scales would say pendulum summons of Solfachord pendulum monsters cannot be negated. So that means no Silent Brigades, none of it. And then same one. Yep, so scales 5 through 8 share the same one. And then when it comes to the two pendulum monsters, Fancia, as you saw, as well as Dreamia. So, Dreamia here says, while you have an odd scale, if a Solfachord pendulum monster you control will be destroyed by opponent's card effect, you can destroy this instead of one of those cards. So basically, Dreamia is the saving grace. And on top of that, if you control a Solfachord card in your pendulum zone, you can special summon this from your hand. So basically, she's an extender. And then the extending effect is hard once. And then Fancia here, while you have a odd pendulum scale, if your Solfachord will be destroyed by battle, destroy this card instead. So basically saving grace of battle. And then during your main phase, you can add one Solfachord pendulum monster from your deck to your extra deck face up, except Fancia. So basically, she is literally heavy metal foe, Electromite, first chance it gets link summoned, which is cracked. And then their field spell, Solfachord Harmonia, hard once on all three effects. The first one is add one face up Solfachord pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, so basically Oath Dragon Magician of Solfachords. Increase the pendulum scale of one Solfachord in your zone by its level. So in other words, it's guaranteed always scale 9. So that way, any given time, if you have Kulia in your hand or extra deck, you have an opportunity to pendulum summon it. And then if you control Solfachord pendulum monsters with at least 3 different even or 3 different odd scales, does not target destroy something your opponent controls. And to benefit the support of Solfachord in terms of indirectly, cards such as Ignite Reload allows you to give it a fixed hand +1. Ignite Reloads Chain Maxi. Interesting. Return Dreamia. And based on his fixed hand, welcome back Dreamia. And then Cutia here. Scale of 8, so yep. She has the same one. Can't stop pendulum summons of Solfachords. And then In this one, while you have an even scale, Solfachord pendulums gain attack equal to 100 times their own scale. And then if this card is normal or special summon, add one Solfachord pendulum monster from deck to hand except QTL. So basically Stratos of Solfachord monsters. Activates Harmonia. Normal summons Fansia. Fansia electromites the boss monster herself, Kulia. When it comes to the scales 1 through 4, as mentioned earlier, your opponent cannot activate a spell trap card or monster effect whenever your Solfachord pendulum monster is being pendulum summoned. So basically, if you have a scale range of a 1 being Kulia and a scale 8 of being Cutia as an example, so that means no matter what kind of pendulum summon you are about to do with Solfachards, your opponent cannot stop you basically. Now, as for the boss of the main deck, Kulia, special summon this from your hand by attributing 2 pendulum monsters, not just Solfachord pendulums, but 2 pendulums in general to tribute to special out the Kulia. Each effect of Kulia once. You can target 1 face up card your opponent controls, spell trap included, or up to 2 if you have an odd scale. Negate its effects until the end of your opponent's turn. Insane. And then when an effect of a monster on the field is activated with an equal or lower attack than the highest scale in your zone times 300, you can straight up destroy that monster, which is nuts. Harmonia adds the Kulia, scales Kulia, scales Cutia. As you can see, as stated from before, they cannot stop you from pendulum summoning in terms of no negation, and your opponent cannot basically activate anything whenever Solfachards are pendulum summoned. Going up against Sacred Beasts. Interesting. Opening up the Spirit Gate, getting a Shatter Foil copy of Raviel, Lord of Phantasms, Shimmering Scrapper. Obviously, the same special condition as Raviel, tribute 3 monsters. Well, technically, his is 3 fiends, while Shimmering is 3 monsters. As a quick effect, discard this, target 1 OG Raviel. For the rest of the turn, its attack becomes double its current attack, and it can able to swing multiple monsters once each. And on top of that, if this card is in your graveyard, tribute 1 monster, add this to your hand. Seems pretty good. Normal summons Dark Beckoning Beast, getting Dark Beckoning Beast, getting Dark Summoning Beast. Tributes for Dark Summoning Beast for the additional summons. Tributes to Summoning Beast for Raviel. Summoning Beast Banish for Haman in hand. And I'm guessing the Raviel did not want to attack because have the opponents dropped the Shimmering Scrapper? 8,000 minus the 16, that's 64. I'd still be alive regardless. Activates Feather Duster. What do we hit? Call by the Grave. Interesting. But you know, at the same time, we never have any monsters in the graveyard to begin with, the fact that they are pendulums. Fansia Electromiting. Gracia. Scale 4, so your opponent cannot basically do anything whenever Solfachord Pendulum is being pendulum summoned. And then in this one for Gracia, while you have an even scale, if your Solfachord Pendulum monster attacks, your opponent cannot activate monster effects until the end of the damage step. So basically, Gracia is the Armades to benefit all Solfachord Pendulum monsters. And then in this one for Gracia, if she's normal or special, add 1 Solfachord spell trap from deck to hand. So Gracia is the Stratos of spells and traps. Activates Dreamia to extend these two together. And there she is, ladies and gentlemen. Grand Solfachord Musea. 2 pendulums in general to make it. Not just Solfachord pendulums, but 2 pendulums to make it. I said level. Link 2, Light Fairy, 19 attack. During your main phase, add 1 pendulum monster from hand to your extra deck face up and 1 face up pendulum from extra deck to hand, as long as one of them has an even scale and the other has odd scale, and so on for vice versa. Whenever you pendulum summon a Solfachord monster, it's more than 1, target one of them, add 1 Solfachord pendulum monster from deck to hand whose level equals the scale of that monster. Harmonia gets Gracia, Pendulum Shogun 1 through 8, 2 through 7, Fantia, Dreamia, and Gracia. Now, Musea here targets the Dreamia. Dreamia is a scale 7, so what's going to happen is we are going to pick up a level 7 Solfachord from deck to hand, all from Musea, and that level 7 would be Butea, which we will show you in a bit. And Gracia gets the spell trap switch. Now, Solfachord Elegance. Hard once. Activate one of the 3 effects. Place a Solfachord pendulum from deck to the scale. Add 1 Solfachord pendulum monster from hand to the extra deck. Complete your scale. Broke. And then add 2 cards, 1 odd and 1 even scale, from pen zones to the extra deck face up, and if you do, draw 2. Pretty good if you ask me. And then Butea here, excuse me. So scale of 2, your opponent can't do anything whenever we pendulum summon Solfachords. And then when it comes to Butea, as a quick effect, target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, or if you have an even scale, target 1 face up spell trap your opponent controls. So basically, if you have an even scale, you basically target any face up card no matter what. This turn, first chance whenever it leaves the field, it ends up banished. And on top of that, at the start of the damage step, if this card battles a monster with an equal or higher attack than the lowest pendulum scale in the zone times 300, destroy that monster. In other words, Butea is literally Construct / Catastor of sorts in terms of quick maths. Should be the 2 for Butea. Raviel gets token. Harmonia 2 does not target kill something, and Butea target Raviel. Well, technically does not target Raviel, but destroy it. And wouldn't you know, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Butea, targets the Raviel, just so that whenever the destruction comes up, Raviel ends up banished. The 3 Solfachords getting in there. Summons out Chaos Summoning Beast. Butea targets Chaos Summoning Beast for Hamon. Now, let's freeze frame that. As soon as he summoned Chaos Summoning Beast, we had to shotgun Butea's effect, target the Chaos Summoning Beast, just so that first chance it ends up leaving the field, it will end up banishing instead of going to the graveyard. The reason being is that we cannot let the opponent in this situation to banish from graveyard just to get Fallen Paradise. Hamon over Butia, but I don't think my opponent has read Butia before. So that is basically game against Sacred Beasts. This next clip of this, based off from this hand, we've got 2 more Solfachord cards to go through. Now, the trap card, Musica. Activate one of those effects based on the scales of Solfachord Pendulum monster cards you control. Odd, special 1 Solfachord Pendulum with an odd scale from extra. Even, special, and even scale Solfachord from extra. And then if for some reason you have even and odd scale, target 1 card your opponent controls, kill it. Hard once on Musica. And then Elitia here, 6 scale, cannot stop the pendulum summon of Solfachards, can't be negated. In this one for Elitia, while you have an even scale, no damage involving Solfachord pendulums in general. If this card is no more special, target 1 spell trap your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So basically, Elitia is Yaksha of Solfachards. Summons out Scorpio, ditches Destrudo for Darlingtonia Cobra. Darlingtonia Cobra gets Brilliant Fusion. You know, way back when Scorpio is literally 1 card Saryuja Scoldred. Because Scorpio ditched something, get Cobra, Cobra getting the Brilliant Fusion, and then Brilliant Fusion sending the Trick Clown as an extender along with a Gem Knight for Seraphonite, and then Trick Clown comes back, and you are able to do these 4 monsters with different names just to make Saryuja with just 1 card by itself, which is downright ridiculous, and hence why Brilliant Fusion ended up banned. Anti-Human Intelligence Messiah. Any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead except monsters. So basically, Macrocosmos, but for back row only. And then, if for some reason, if it would have been on a board, you can reveal this card in your hand, add 1 other pendulum from hand or 1 card from pen zone to its owner's extra deck face up, and it can do special summon this card. So basically, hand effect, interesting. And then special once per turn this way. And then if another monster is no more special while you control this card, send that monsters more than 1 to the grave during the end phase of this turn. So in this context, Macrocosmos for back row. These 2 together. Union Carrier. Brilliant Fusion. Sending all Diviner at the Hero instead of Trick Clown. Interesting. Just like in the old days, but you know, it's something. Gem Knight Seraphonite. Union Carrier on Seraphonite for Eva. Destrudo, pay half. Seraphonite and Destrudo for Needle Fiber. You know, never really realized that Destrudo is actually a tuner. And then Eva banishing only 1 fairy for Trickstar Lily Belle to extend the course. Now, Buten here During the main phase, you can banish this from grave to target one face up, level 4 or lower, light fairy you control, make it a tuner while face up. Lily Belle. These 3 together. Appaloosa for 3. And 1 set. Monster Reborn, the Seraphinite. Scales to Dreamia. Dreamia effect activates. Appaloosa negates. Seraphinite for that extra summon. Elitia compulsive set. Appaloosa negates again. Extra normals or regular normal to Dreamia. Seraphinite over Union Carrier. Elitia over Appaloosa. And Dreamia for 6. These 2 together. Elitia and Dreamia for Phoenix. Phoenix hit set. Call by the grave. And I think... yeah, we literally had no monsters in the graveyard anyway, so... Foolish Burials. And then that's game. And this next clip of this challenge, looking at this hand, it's literally terrible. Ascendant Sage, Astral Krebo for revealing Utopia to special it. Reveals the Dwarf for Asura Strike. Gets out Utopia double. Ascendant Sage and Utopia double. Get the double or nothing for ultimate Dragonic Utopia Ray. Always treated as Utopia Ray. Once per turn, whenever a card or effect is activated that targets this, or when this card is targeted for an attack as a quick effect, equip 1 ZW Zexa weapons monster from hand or deck to this card as if it was equipped by that monster. So basically, this is Maiden with Eyes of Blue in a Zexa Weapons version. Once per turn, you can detach one, target face-up cards your opponent controls equal to the number or up to the number of Zexa Weapons monsters equal to this, negated. So basically, our Torgus, King of the Noble Knights, but instead of destruction, Effect Veiler. Asura Strike, and the Utopia Ray. Eagle Claw and Asura Strike. So Eagle Claw here, 2000 boost, and while equipped, negate the first trap card. And Asura Strike here, extra 1000 boost, and while equipped, swings multiple monsters once each. So Asura Priest, hence the name Asura, and an Eagle Claw is basically Magician's left hand. But unfortunately, that board is gonna get destroyed with the help of Raigeki. Summons Cutia. Cutia gets Dreamia. Ignite Reload, give us a fixed hand. And opponent scooped. And this next clip of this challenge, looking at this hand, Fancia, Electromites, Gracia, Scales, Deculia, Cutia, Pendulum, Shokuns, Guaranteed Gracia, Gracia getting Harmonia, at the base D, Harmonia, Fancia, Gracia for Musia, Harmonia for Fancia for the follow-up. Extravagance doesn't care about extra deck. Swords of Revealing Light, interesting. And then normals to Sangan. Sangan crashes to get Karkar D. Oh boy, I think I know what my opponent is on. Monster Reborns to Sangan. End phase. Pendulum Reborns to Gracia. Gracia gets Elegance. Normal summons Fancia. Flips up Jar Agree for 1. Fancia Electromiting Tia. These two together for Phoenix. Phoenix ditch Ignite Reload, kill the swords. Adding Butia, offering Harmonia, increasing the scale of Butia. Pendulum summons 3. Now, Musia targeting the Butia. Scale of 2, which means level 2 Solfachord. So that level 2 Solfachord would be Dreamia as searched out. Now, Solfachord scale here. Apply any of the following effects in sequence based on the number of Solfachord Pendulum monsters you control with different names. 3 or more, return 1 from scale to the hand, and if you do, place 1 Solfachord Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your scale. And then 5 or more, special 1 Solfachord Pendulum monster from your hand, and then if for some reason you are able to get 7 on board, destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls. Hard ones on scales. Butia targets Sangan. Dreamia to extend. Musia and Phoenix for Abomination. Harmonia kills Sangan to the Banish pile, just so that it will not get the search. And ladies and gentlemen, that is game. Looking at this hand on this next one, excuse me, we've got us another Solfachord card to talk about. That would be Formal. While you have a Solfachord cards in your scales, whenever your opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect, shuffle 1 face-up Pendulum monster from extra deck into the main deck, then apply those effects. Unaffected by that effect, cards in your scale cannot be killed by that effect, and cards that in your scale cannot be banished by that effect. Hard once on Formal. Dude, my hand! What is this? Okay, so Photon Thrasher, and then Double Book of Moon, Curtain Raiser, and Card Destruction. Wow. And based on this new hand now, there's one of the new ones to talk about. Angelia. Scale 3, your opponent cannot activate whenever we Pendulum Summon Solfacords. So in this one for Angelia, while we have an odd scale in your pen zone, if your Solfachord Pendulum monster attacks, your opponent cannot activate spell traps or the effects until the end of the damage step. So basically, it benefits the Solfachord Pendulums to act as Armades, but for spell traps. And then during your main phase, which is the cost to activate, by the way, the whole entire resolution is tribute one Solfachord Pendulum monster, even if face down. And if you do, special summon one Solfachord Pendulum from main deck whose pendulum scales is 2 higher or 2 lower than that, except Angelia. Hard ones on Angelia's effect. And nonetheless, let's see. Cutia, Dreamia, Elitia, Fancia, Gracia, Angelia, Butia, Coolia, and then the Musea. That is literally everybody in attendance of Solfacords. Nonetheless, let's get right to it. Summons out Ecclesia, Exi Shokan into Gallant Granite. Whoa, wait a minute, what? Lord of the Heavenly Prison is a rock? Why did they made him a rock in the first place? Like, what? That's crazy. Set to reveal Lord. Activates Elegance. Complete the scale. Normal summon Cutia. Cutia gets Dreamia. Dreamia special. Cutia and Dreamia for Musea. Pendulum Shokan 1 through 8. So 2 through 7. Dreamia and Angelia. Musea targets Angelia. She's a scale 3, which means the level 3 monster that we should be able to pick up would be Elitia. Angelia tributes to Dreamia for Fancia. Fancia Electromining. But wait a minute though. When did Call by the Grave ever came up in this context? Knowing that if I had a Fancia in grave already. Oh, card destruction. Wow, dude. What a jerk. You know what? Fine. Activates Lord. Setting Foolish. Fancia and Angelia for Phoenix. Phoenix ditch Musica, hitting Pot of Avarice. Musea and Phoenix for Abomination. Abomination over Gallant. Abomination effect killing Lord. Set to an end phase Abomination killing the Foolish Spirit that was set. At this rate, we basically controlled the board, and that is game. So guys, that's gonna do it for the debut showcase of Solfacords. We will have more matches being pending and posted coming up.